All this expedition needs is a leader, and according to the bones, that leader is you, Burglecut. Vampire! So that was taken from the 1988 fantasy film Willow, which was from a story by George Lucas. Didn't quite have the far-reaching impact of his Star Wars series. And when it came out, it didn't have the box office returns he had hoped for, although it did have a pretty successful second life on home media and became a cult favorite over time. And certainly when I was a kid, I watched this film frequently. It was a favorite. And I remember immediately during the opening credits, I was just swept up by James Horner's just beautifully lyrical, epic music score, and just immersed me in this dark fantasy world of sorcery and fairies and heroic adventure. At the same time, the film immerses you in this dark fantasy world. It balances it with a very tender, earthy sensibility, kind of reminiscent of Lord of the Rings, and also has a surprising, like, Monty Python sense of humor.
Honey, not a woman! Easy. Gentlemen, not a woman! Meat lug.
An upcoming sequel series to the original film is airing on DisneyPlus later this year, which I'm pretty hopeful for and excited about. So this video is mostly retrospective. I just want to look back at the original film and, what made it so unique, because I do view it as quite underrated and underappreciated. Let's get into this video, and I hope it's fun. If you haven't seen the film, I will be discussing spoilers. The plot of Willow is kind of a combination of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Queen Bavmorda, an evil sorceress, orders the killing of all the newborn in her kingdom. A prophecy foretells that a child with a special birthmark will bring about her downfall. Elora Danan, the prophesied child, is born and smuggled out of the kingdom. Willow, an aspiring magician of the Nelwyn or Hobbit-like little people, finds the baby in a river. Feeling compassion for the baby, he embarks upon a quest to save Elora Danan's life and bring Bavmorda's reign to an end. I can definitely find parallels to Star Wars. Similar to Luke Skywalker, Willow is an underdog character. He's a country bumpkin who overcomes the odds stacked against him through discovering his true power within himself. Magic in the film operates much like the Force, having both a dark and light side. The ruffian and mercenary Mad Mardigan, played by Val Kilmer with irresistible charm and gusto, is the Han Solo of the film. He's a cynic on the surface, but a bleeding heart romantic at the core. And Leia? Well, I guess Elora Danan is Leia. In the prophecy, we learn that she is destined to become the Princess of Tura Asleen, one of the kingdoms. The brownies, Frangine and Rule, are like C-3PO and R2-D2, providing much of the comic relief. Like Star Wars, Willow is filled with mythological parallels. For instance, the scene of Elora Danan floating on the river in a basket resembles a number of myths featuring an abandoned child who later becomes a great leader or hero. Let's take Moses from the Old Testament as an example. Like Elora, Moses escaped death as a baby by being concealed in a basket set afloat in a river. The Pharaoh of Egypt, fearing that the Hebrews were becoming too powerful, had ordered all of their newborn to be murdered. George Lucas also borrows from Scottish and Celtic myth. The brownies were fairies or spirits in Scottish folklore. One of Willow's spells, Tuatha, alludes to the Tuatha De Danann, who were basically the fairy folk in Celtic myth and legend. When translated from the Gaelic, Tuatha De Danann literally means people of the goddess Danu. Danu was an earth mother figure and queen of the fairies. When captured by the brownies, Willow encounters the fairy queen Cherlindrea, who reveals to him the prophecy of Alora Danan's destiny to become a princess. Alora's surname, Danan, also bears this Celtic association with the goddess Danu. These Celtic ties to mythical goddess figures are interesting, since in Willow, the culture seems to be predominantly matriarchal, where women rule the various domains. In the forest, you have the fairy queen Cherlindrea. Then there is Bavmorda, the queen of Nockmaar, and also Finraziel, an old enchantress, who becomes an Obi-Wan-like mentor to Willow. George Lucas's ability to incorporate these mythological parallels into his storytelling are what make his stories feel so powerful and timeless. For me, these mythic layers to a film like Willow just makes for more immersive storytelling. The use of motifs and frameworks of actual myths gives the story an automatic texture, historic depth, and symbolic layering, so long as they're integrated organically and not artificially forced onto the story. One of the greatest elements of Willow is the casting of Warwick Davis as the lead character. George Lucas had originally cast Davis as an Ewok, Wicket in Return of the Jedi in 1983. So it was great to see here Davis play a lead role without extensive prosthetics or costumes or makeup, because he doesn't need all that shit on his face. He has such an expressive face. And here with Willow, he really conveys Willow's self-doubt at first and the limitations he feels by his provincial farmer's life and his yearning, adventurous spirit and his hunger for knowledge of the world. All very well played. So he was just an utter joy to watch. Willow finds a great foil in Mad Mardigan. They play off each other wonderfully. Willow becomes very fatherly towards the baby in his care. It's endearing to see his earnest, paternalistic tone play off against Val Kilmer's self-serving Mad Mardigan, a likable scoundrel who can't be trusted at first. Both Willow and Mad Mardigan nicely complement each other. They each represent a fantasy type. Willow is the wizard and Mad Mardigan the warrior. By the end of the movie, we all expect them to awaken to their true power as the archetypal wizard and warrior we believe them to be. And that does happen, but not quite as we expect. Sure, Mad Mardigan has his glory moments in battle, but he is still a flawed character and somewhat of a fool. He comes into his own, becomes less selfish, but it's nice that he's not fully reformed, still retaining some of the foolishness and braggadocio that makes him such a great character. I think that's just good writing combined with strong performances. Sure, the characters are straight off a role-playing fantasy game, but they come alive and the film does a good job grounding them. You feel like they have a history, which the amazing production design really sells as well. The sets, especially for the ruins of Tur Asleen, have a gritty medieval style. In the final battle, Willow pits his magic against Queen Bavmorda, although not quite as expected. He uses his old magic trick, a disappearing act, to deceive Bavmorda into thinking Alora has vanished into thin air. I see the film as marking a distinction between real magic and illusionism. So I love how Willow falls back on his old magic show tricks, performs a beguiling spectacle, instead of using magic in the authentic sense. Magic here originates in the spaces between reality and illusion. The finale's magical battle is a test of wills, a battle of wits. So perhaps the greatest magic trick of all is tricking the mind into believing in an illusion. Willow is very close to my heart, and so I am cautiously excited for the new series. I am glad to see Joanne Whaley returning to her role as Sorsha. Unfortunately, Val Kilmer won't be coming back as Mad Mardigan. I heard a lot of the shooting was done during COVID, and that it would have been too much of a health risk for him to be a part of it. So, but Warwick Davis did say that Madmartigan's character will play a big part in the story of the series, so that's great to hear. And speaking of Warwick Davis, he has just aged gracefully. He still looks great as the character. Also in the recent trailer, we got a shot of Phil Fondacaro, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, returning to the character in his role as Vankar. We see a shot of Vankar in full battle mode, so that was great. They have all the right elements there. They have a lot of the cast, and also introduce a new character, so that'll be interesting. I'm just looking for like a fun, entertaining, immersive fantasy series, and just to enjoy seeing Warwick Davis, reprise his role. So I am looking forward to it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you like the film Willow as much as I do. Love to hear your comments below, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.